Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kano State, Engineer Abba Kabir Yusuf, distinguished members of the Kano State Executive Council, representative of the Minister of Women Affairs, development partners, private sector leaders, traditional and religious leaders, civil society representatives, and esteemed guests. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It gives me great pleasure to join you virtually at the launch of the Kano State Women's Economic Empowerment Policy. Let me begin by apologizing for not being there in person due to commitments in this holy month of Ramadan. This unveiling is not merely the unveiling of a document. It is a declaration that Kano State recognizes that inclusive growth is the only sustainable path to growth. It is also significant that this launch comes immediately after the commemoration of International Women's Day, when nations around the world reflect on the contributions of women to economic and social progress. Kano State's decision to introduce this policy at this moment sends a powerful message that our commitment to women's empowerment is both timely and deliberate. The facts before us are sobering. Across Nigeria, women participate in the labor force at significantly lower rates than men. Women-owned businesses remain largely concentrated in the informal sector, where access to finance, insurance, and formal markets is limited. In many northern states, adolescent girls continue to face high rates of early marriage, conditions that directly restrict their economic opportunities. In Kano State specifically, where our population exceeds 20 million people, the scale of exclusion has economic consequences. When girls drop out of school, when women lack collateral to access finance, and when unpaid care responsibilities limit their mobility, the entire state economy loses productivity. Evidence from many countries shows that closing gender gaps in economic participation can significantly strengthen economic growth and development. Empowering women is therefore not only a social imperative, it is sound economic policy. Our history and our faith are clear on this matter. Islam grants women rights to property ownership, inheritance, enterprise, and independent economic activity. The prosperity of early Muslim societies was built on the active participation of women in trade, scholarship, and community leadership. We must therefore reject any narrative that frames women's economic empowerment as foreign to our values. It is, in fact, rooted in them. However, policy is only the first step. Implementation must be deliberate, coordinated, and measurable. We must set clear targets for increasing women's access to finance, vocational skills, land, and markets. At the same time, we must ensure that women and girls are not left behind in the rapidly expanding digital economy. Access to digital skills, technology, and online markets will be essential if women-owned enterprises are to compete and grow in the modern economy. We must also continue to invest in girls' education as the foundation of long-term economic transformation. At the same time, we must ensure that legal protections for women's rights are realized in practice. I commend His Excellency, the Governor of Kano State, and the government for its leadership, and I acknowledge the important role played by the Honorable Commissioner for Women Affairs, Children and Persons with Disability, Hajia Amina Abdullahi, and the contributions of AECF, dRPC, the Isa Wali Empowerment Initiative, Fable Advisory, religious and traditional leaders, and other stakeholders who supported the development of this policy. Their collaboration demonstrates what is possible when government, civil society, and partners work together with a shared purpose. As your Emir, I recognize the important responsibility of the traditional institution in shaping social norms and influencing community behavior. If meaningful change is to reach every household and every community, the traditional institution must play its part. Today, I therefore make a clear pledge, which is that the Emirate Council will actively support the implementation of this policy. We will use our platforms to advocate for girls' education, responsible social practices, women's access to economic opportunities, and community acceptance of women's entrepreneurship. We will engage district and ward heads to sensitize communities, encourage positive role models, and support progress at the grassroots level. Kano has long been a commercial nerve center in West Africa. If we are to secure our place in an increasingly competitive global economy, we must fully harness the intelligence, resilience, and productivity of our women. A prosperous Kano cannot be built on the marginalization of half of its population. As we gather in this blessed month of Ramadan, a time of reflection, compassion, and justice, we are reminded that the strength of a society is measured by how it enables all its members to flourish. May Allah grant us wisdom, sincerity of purpose, and the discipline to translate this vision into reality. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته